G'day and welcome to this quick fire 15-minute training on how to use your phone to generate leads. I think in a world where we're dominated by social media and digital marketing, I think it's a bit of a lost art, to be honest with you, when it comes to using the telephone to do things like cold calling or even outreach campaigns. So if you're on something like LinkedIn, you can send as many inbox messages as you like, but if you can actually find the person's number, pick up the phone and make a call, you'll get what's called H2H connection happening, which can't happen on social media, human to human, right? A little bit old school, I know. And I think one of the reasons so many people struggle with doing this type of marketing is they're worried about what people are they going to think of them, or they're worried about what do I say, and then they're worried if they do have some sort of a script that they're going to sound like a robot. Now, you've probably had people ring you that do that, and scripts are great to teach you what to say, when to ask it, and how to go about structuring your call. But once you've got the knack of it, you won't need your script anymore. But did you know that cold calling is still one of the most effective ways to generate good quality leads in your business? And if you're looking for tips to make it easier, then I've got 7 tips for you today. Also, I want to let you know that we will be putting a link into the chat box with a downloadable workbook that will have these 7 tips in there. Plus, it'll give you a 4-step process for creating your script. So it makes it really, really easy. So if you're wondering what to say, we're going to take that pain away for you. Worry no more. We're going to give you a 4-step process where you just fill in the blanks and you'll be able to generate your own cold calling script to get results really fast. So make sure you go and download that. I'll get the team to pop that into the chat box for you now. I think Kirsten will do that for us, a superstar. Alrighty, so what you need to think about when you're going to do any type of marketing is how are you going to get people's attention, and the same thing is true when you jump on the phone. And so the script writing worksheet will take you through the process of setting up how to get someone's attention. So instead of getting not interested when you ring people, you'll be able to get through on the phone much quicker. It'll give you it's going to give you examples and an actual word for word where you can just fill it in if you want. You don't have to change it at all. So make sure you go and download that. Let's jump straight into the 7 tips. You can download the workbook to create your script, and I'm going to make it super simple for you with these 7 simple tips to get the results. First of all, make sure you block out time in your diary dedicated to making calls. I think the biggest thing that happens is people do what's called avoidance behavior. They'll put it on their to-do list and they'll never get to it because other things will become more important. Now, there's probably nothing more important in your business than generating leads. Now, these calls could be to past customers. It could be a cold list. It could be, a strategic alliance list, whatever it might be. But if you don't ring those people, then you're never going to get the results. So really important that you block out time in your diary and make that time non-negotiable. So it's locked in and you know that that particular time you're going to do that particular work. And it is important, but it's not urgent. And that's why it's so easy for people to move it. Okay, so make sure you lock that in. The second thing is to set yourself daily and maybe even weekly goals of how many calls you are going to make. Now, I don't like using the terminology that it is a numbers game, but realistically, if you ring nobody, then the result you're going to get is nothing. That's pretty obvious, isn't it? So you're going to have to ring some people to get some results. So set some targets, whether it's 20 calls a day or 20 calls a week, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how many you do. It's more than if you're doing nothing, right? So just pick a number and start working out how many calls you need to do to make the goals a reality. Now, one of the things that you would think about is, if you've got an outcome that you're after, let's say you want to book 4 quotes or 4 appointments, or maybe whatever your mechanism is for the next stage in your sales process, then what you can do is set that as a target as well, and then slowly work out how many calls you need to make to achieve that particular key performance indicator. Really important. All right, tip number 3 is once you're on the phone and you're making calls, record yourself. That way you can listen back, because sometimes you won't really hear what it is you're saying. Maybe you're umming a lot. Maybe you're asking closed questions instead of open questions. Maybe you're rushing through a particular part that's important. Maybe you're not listening carefully to what your prospect is saying. And so by recording your calls, you'll be able to go back through and listen to them in your own time, pause them, and really dissect what it is you were doing that works and what didn't. In particular, you want to listen to the ones that do end up being successful and listen to the ones that aren't, and so that way you can work out what is working and what isn't. You can always get somebody else to listen to them as well if you're really stuck and not sure what it is you're doing wrong, if you want to get other people's help as well. So I do recommend recording them. Now, you do need to let people know that the call is going to be recorded. It's quite a simple thing to do at the beginning of your script. You'll just say, just letting you know that I'm recording this call for training purposes. Is that okay? Everyone says yes. We've never had someone say no. So that's all you need to do. Step number 4 is practice your script before starting to make live calls. The reason this is important is it will make you more confident. And one of the keys to being really good at generating leads with your telephone is to be confident when you jump on the phone. Practice brings confidence, because once you have got some sort of an idea of what it is you're going to say, then it becomes easier once you make a live call. Also, when you do this practice, rehearse some of the things that someone might say to you. So, for example, you might be midway through your script and they might say, I've already got an XYZ supplier. Well, that might stop you in your tracks if you're not prepared to answer the question or have a question to ask. And I always recommend having questions. You might say something then really quickly, how long have you been working with them? Okay, so straight into another open-ended question. And so if you've got a rehearsed response to whatever they say, it's going to be much easier for you to be confident when you're on the phone. I've trained many, many people to do this, and I can guarantee you that it will make a huge difference if you do practice what sort of things you might get said to you, or what people might say. Really important. All right, number 5. Stand up when you make your calls. Now, I'm standing up right now, and I can tell you that it makes a difference to my delivery. I could be slouched in my chair. Instead, I'm up on my feet, and I'm looking at the camera, and I'm delivering this on my feet. It brings a different energy. The same thing is true when you're making calls. I love my stand-up desk for that. I can just raise it up. I can make my calls. I've got my computer in front of me, and it makes it really easy for me to change my state. Now, if you spend most of your day sitting down, then it's a good state change if you stand up, because then your body will go, or your brain will go, rightio, it's time, we're now in call mode, I'm going to make some calls. One of the beautiful things about technology, I've got mine here, these things have to be charged every day for me because that works really well. The second thing I have is this, which is a headset for my USB, so my phone hooks up through my computer as well. I've got 2 phones. If you've got an Android, you can do that with the Your Phone app, and you can call directly out of your CRM. Get yourself a good USB headset. This is just the Sennheiser ones. They're about $80. And you install the Your Phone app on your computer, and you can make calls directly from your computer without having to dial the number. And I like those because they give me the freedom as I'm standing here. I can whack it on. I can move around as much as I want. And get into the call and get the results that I want. So stand up, it'll give you a different energy, and of course smiling. It also helps, because people feel that. People will get your body language through the telephone. Really important. All right, tip number 6, buddy up with a friend or colleague or co-worker when you're making your calls, and hold each other accountable. So, even if you're a sole trader, find somebody in your local networking group or Facebook group or something like that you can say, hey, are you struggling to get your calls done each week? I know it's an important strategy for me in my business. I'm not doing it. And find somebody else. It's been proven that people that join the gym together stay longer, get better results. It's the same thing with anything in life. If you've got somebody else who is also, expecting you to turn up to get this done, then the likelihood is that you'll get it done. It's more likely you'll feel like you're accountable and that you've got to do it rather than putting it off. The only risk, and this is the caveat, is that you may collude and do nothing. You might end up drinking coffee. So don't catch up in the same place to do the calls. Just have some sort of a catch up each week where you review how your calls went and make sure each other, and maybe even encourage each other with text message and say, hey, how are you going? Have you done your calls yet? How many appointments have you booked? Or how many, things have you sold? Whatever it might be, whatever your mechanism is in your sales process, get each other excited about, getting the calls done. All right. Tip number 7 is test and measure your results. So one of the best things that you can do, we love to see get rewarded and have some sort of mechanism for rewarding ourselves when we get results. So make sure you keep a tally of how many calls you've made, how long it takes you to do those calls, and what results you get. And that way you can tweak things as you go. If you make changes to your script or your offer or the people that you're calling, maybe the list, you can then measure the results from that and sort of ascertain whether or not what you've done is working. Really, really important. So make sure you keep a tally of everything. It'll also be really encouraging when you start getting results to know that you've only got to make 10, have 10 conversations to book one appointment, or 10 conversations to get one sale, or whatever it might be. So it's really good to do that as well. It'll also keep you accountable, because if you're, doing 10 calls an hour, and you're not talking to many people, well, that's not enough, because an hour is 60 minutes. That's 6 minutes a call on average, and really you shouldn't be spending that much time. Even when you do connect with somebody, you might spend 15 minutes maximum to get to the point where you'll book an appointment or get a sale, depending on your product or service. But if you were just doing calls, or I always say to people, if you hired somebody like a telemarketer to do calls for you, how many dials per hour would you expect them to do? My answer is 20 to 30. That's 2 to 3 minutes a dial on average, because some just will go to voicemail and won't answer. So if you're not doing 20 to 30 dials an hour and having probably 10 conversations and booking one appointment, you're probably out, not in the ballpark with the numbers, right? So it just gives you a bit of an indicator of what you should expect. Okay, now as I said before, we've got this all in a beautiful displayed workbook that you can get and you can download. The link is in the comments down below. You can see that it gives you a full, gives you the ability to go through and create your entire sales script, and it helps you get the results that you need to get from your cold calling. So make sure that you download that and that you use that tool to help you get results when you're using telephone to generate leads. All right. Well, hopefully that's been helpful. It's definitely one of the strategies that I've really employed in my life over the last 20 years. Of even more than that, right? It's just one of the things that I've always turned to. I know that it can be awkward, it can be uncomfortable, it can be a little bit daunting, but you have to trust me when I say that if you do it every day, or at least 3 days a week, it will get easier to the point where it becomes second nature. A bit like doing video like this or anything. The more you do something, the more you push yourself out of your comfort zone, the more it becomes part of your comfort zone. And so I highly recommend that you employ this strategy. The reason for that is because it is uncomfortable. A lot of your competitors won't do it. And whilst they're not doing it and they're trying all the other things that are less effective or take longer to work, you'll be in there hunting with the phone call, talking to these prospects before they even get a chance to sell anything to them. Okay, so I highly recommend you jump into that. All right, last reminder, links down in the chat to grab that workbook. Grab that, and good luck with your cold calling. Take care.